Hello, I'm Jason Wisniewski with TWRA, and today we're going to talk trapping. I've been trapping for about 22 years. I started in college just kind of interested in doing it, learning a lot more about wildlife, and I'm a wildlife biologist with TWRA, and you know, it's something that I've really found that helps me as a hunter, as an outdoorsman, as I've become a better trapper, and it also helps manage our wildlife and keep everything in balance. So today, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the legalities of trapping. That's something very important. First thing you have to have is your license. Carry that around on your phone, nice and convenient. I always have that with me. So your license is here. The other equipment that you're going to need is, first of all, traps. And in Tennessee, we have some great trapping regulations and rules on the equipment that we can use. And one thing I wanted to go over was for any of our land traps. So today we're going to be setting for coyote with our land traps. The maximum width of the trap can be no more than 7 inches from here to here, where these jaws will pivot. You can see I have 3 different trap types here. I got a Bridger number 2 dogless. Again, it's less than 7 inches, and I have a Victor number 2 coil spring. So the other thing you got to know about your equipment is the in Tennessee, the jaw face here, which is this area along here, has to be a minimum of 1/4 inch wide. You can use either a trap like this Bridger number 2 that has a lamination welded to the outside to make sure it's larger than 1/4 inch. There's also the 550 type traps that have a wider jaw. As you can see here, this is an offset wide jaw. It's also legal. And this is my Victor number 2, which is not legal for trapping in Tennessee. I just brought this along today just to use it as an example. You can see that the jaws here are less than 1/4 inch, so it's no longer legal, or not legal unless I modify it to either put rubber jaws on it, makes it a little wider, or else put some laminations on like I have with the Bridger number 2. The other thing I like to have on all my traps is at least 3 points of contact that swivel. So I have one here at center swivel. This swivel allows the trap to spin around, and whenever an animal's in it, it allows it to roll with it rather than the chain getting bound up. So I have one here, one here. I actually have a shock spring on this trap that can reduce some of the tension whenever an animal lunges, and make the trap hold a little better, keep them from pulling out. I have another swivel on the other side of that shock spring. And then I have one swivel right at the end, and I have it attached to a cable stake. This Bridger number 2 set up the same way. I don't have a cable stake on here, but one thing that I can use if I get into the right situation is I have a grapple that it's just a drag that's pretty aggressive drag, has about 10 foot of chain on there. I can attach it with that J hook, and I just throw this up in the woods, and then it'll restrain that animal once it gets caught and starts running off. And these are highly effective for areas where you might have a lot of rock, or it might be really hard to pound the stake in. And they're becoming one of my favorite things to use whenever I'm trapping. The other stuff that we need is a good bag to carry your gear to set the traps, stake driver, a good hammer, and a sieve just to sieve your dirt on your trap bed. Something I like to bed my traps in is some peat moss. It's really nice. It sheds water well for when we have those rainy days. After a couple days of rain, if you dig this up, it'll still be dry as could be. So I keep that in my bag. I do wear gloves whenever I'm setting. This isn't for keeping scent off or anything. This is just to protect my hands from the things that are down on the ground that I'm digging through that could cut my hands up. Same thing with knee pads. Whenever I get my traps, the first thing I like to do to them, you can order them from a number of different locations, including some of the online trap supply houses. A few of the ones I'm most familiar with: Southern Snares, F&T, Fur Harvesters Trading Post, and Minnesota Traps Line Supply. You can also go to different conventions they have throughout the state, and they'll have suppliers there where you can buy equipment each year. And that's a great place to get any of that stuff, and you can get your hands on it and see what it's made out of, see which ones you like more than the others. So I get this equipment, I take it home, I degrease it, because usually there's a little bit of oil and different protectants on there to keep them from rusting. I degrease them, and then I'm not worried about the color or anything else. As you can see, these ones aren't painted, they're not dyed, they're just the same color they were whenever I got them. What I do is I do put a layer of wax on to protect them, to keep them from rusting as they're in the ground, and a lot of the elements play on them. And that's just to protect the metal, to keep it from rusting away, and keeps it in working condition longer. Another thing I like to do whenever I'm coyote trapping is, as you can see on this trap here, it has a bolt that goes through the pan. This is a dogless type trap that doesn't have a lever or a latch that goes over top of the jaw, which this one has. As you can see, it has this thing called a dog. But what I like to do is adjust this pan tension, so I have about 3.5 to 4 pounds of pan tension. That means if an animal steps on here, it has to put at least 3.5 to 4 pounds of pan tension in order to trigger that trap. And that keeps a lot of your stuff out that you don't want to catch, or stuff that might clog up your traps and keep them from working as efficiently as you'd like to have them for catching your target species. It's really important to keep all your gear organized. You know, I have all my stuff in a bag here. Anything I need for out on the trap lines right there. It's only at an arm's length away. We have the stuff in the side-by-side here. A few other tools, a catch pole in case we get non-target species we want to release. The other thing you need to have on your traps, and I have several of them on because they do get torn up, is a trap tag that identifies either the person by name or their TWRA ID. And that's something really important. That's in case something happens and an officer has to go and find out who owns that trap. They can easily look down, see who owns it, look it up, and then they have that information to contact the individual that owns it in case there's some sort of situation. And other than that, these are very effective for catching just about any animals we have in Tennessee. They're also very safe. As you can see with these individuals, it has a nicer big pan. This is something that I'm not afraid of. I catch myself routinely through the years as trapping. Actually, the very first trap I set this year went off on my hand. And as you see, it doesn't hurt. I'm not in any agonizing pain. The one problem is whenever I have it on this hand, it's like a handcuff, and I can't really use this hand to get it off. So I have to reach on down here and just pull those levers, and my hands are still there, everything's still there. So I think that's all we're going to cover on the equipment, and I think we're going to go on to setting some sets.